Okay, so pretend Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler has just been playing and is now like fading out. And the only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast. I'm too lazy to like actually do that in the edit, let alone can we
Oh,
get
okay.
the rights slash licensing to the song. So I just imagine that was the transition into the show.
I keep forgetting that we don't have music. I've
Yeah,
only listened to maybe two of our episodes, so
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I really been thinking about like getting some music, like getting a buddy to write a little funny jingle or something. But and by Ben thinking of that, I think I had that idea today, and I was like, I should do that. But in the meantime, we're imagining Holding Out for a Hero playing
Right.
because we're here to save the day. This is the only problem. This is a film review podcast hosted by two independent filmmakers, giving you a fresh and interesting look on some classics of cinema, of pop culture, and then some.
And
I'm
some
Andy
not so
Matzke,
classics.
and some not
No, no, no.
great
Wait,
films.
let me step on that completely. Let me step on that completely.
My like tongue in cheek, who
Yeah,
are we? Go ahead, step on it.
yeah. So no, because now I just completely wrecked it. So you were saying that's Andy Matzke. That's what you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, and that's Santino Vitale,
Yeah, I'm the
writer,
speech
director
stepper
extraordinary.
honorer.
I'm yeah, speech step honorer. And I'm Andy,
Hmm.
and we're the show. If you're a fan
Yeah.
of all sorts of movies, we talk about them. And how you doing, Santino? What were you gonna say? What were you gonna step on,
I
huh?
don't actually know now. I got so sidetracked by the fact that I stepped all over that then I forgot why I was stepping on it. Oh, your camera really followed that. Your camera
Oh, did
really,
it?
yeah, it's all, look at it. It's all the way
Oh
back
wow.
now.
We have little robots now that are in charge of our cameras, and yours just did it too. Apparently, if you add enough of your body and it, anyways, visual enjoyers of the show will notice this. If you're just listening to the show, you're missing out on half the fun, which is the auto reframe feature on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
So I didn't tell you something last week. In the follow up to our epic golf driving range fail
Uh-huh.
story on Sunday. So 2 Sundays ago, I went to church, and after church, I was like, you know what? I really want to go to the driving range again. That was fun. I want to stay in a rhythm. I'm gonna go for it. And so I was like, we just had this misadventure the day before. I'm gonna look up on my phone and I'm gonna make sure this place is open. So I look at a place that's close to me, I make sure it's open, and I go, I'm golden. I'm good. But then I drive to go to the place, drive all 10 minutes, and they're closed. And I go, forget it. It's not meant to be. I'm not driving around again. And
Uh,
then I bummed around town a bit instead of going to the driving range. So
I
we're
don't get what's
cursed.
going on. Is it that like, well, I've been telling you that for a while. Is it just that like the weather they normally open, but then they're just open dependent on the weather, or what's the deal here?
I don't know, because it was like a nice day. It was like a perfectly nice day in Northeast Ohio. And so I don't know why they weren't. I mean, it was on the chilly end, that's for sure. But who knows? Uh, do you have any banter, any updates, any life updates? How's the back this week?
It's good. I'm doing things, I'm moving around, I'm waiting for the camera to catch up with me. I don't think it's gonna go. Oh wait, there it goes. All right, it's all the way up. Um, yeah, it's been good. And it took like it took a little over a week to heal. Like until Sunday, or maybe even a little bit yesterday, it was still a little bit stiff. So yeah, full range of motion. I'm all back to normal. Everything's good. And the only real banter I have is that, we may, given our location in the United States, we may experience a bit of fallout during our conversation tonight.
There
There
might be
might be,
technical difficulties.
yeah, there's some storms brewing up by you and down here, and it's a whole
Yeah,
big system.
I've already spent some time in the basement this afternoon because,
Really?
yeah, because there was like tornado warning, tornadoes are coming, was basically a moment.
I thought it was like tornado warning, tornado watch.
Nope, it's the other way around.
Really?
Yep.
I always
Watch
assumed it
is
was the other way.
like The ingredients are there. Warning is like it's
That
gonna
makes
happen.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot about that. It's been a second since we had something like
Yeah.
that down
We've
here.
had and we have tornado watches fairly recent or fairly commonly, but that's just because it's
See,
like
up by the lake,
the
I wouldn't
front's
think
coming
you guys
through.
would get it. I
We
thought the
don't
lake
a
like
lot.
diffused.
I
Okay.
mean, we don't a lot, but it happens enough. We also get water spouts a lot, which if those get on land, those are just tornadoes.
Yeah. See, I didn't think about water spouts either. That's interesting. So it's just a
I've seen
tornado
them. They're cool.
over water. Yeah, but you don't want to move inward,
Inland,
in place, in toward. Yeah, you don't
in
want
up.
that. I am really um I'm
Oh,
real sleepy today. So I'm like
oh dear.
really reclined back in this chair.
Oh dear. We
I'm
need
just
to
kind of
wake you
having
up. Do
a
we need to do some jumping jacks or like rapid fire trivia? Rapid fire things that get Santino hyped. Let's go. Tell me your favorite Haim song you've listened to in the last week.
in the last week.
Yeah.
Probably the steps.
The
But
Steps. The Steps is
there's
a
that
banger.
the close second would probably be oh, stop maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
That's off their
Favorite
unreleased stuff.
favorite Tom Segura quote.
Bikes.
Bikes. Bikes, that's good. Uh and final rapid fire trivia. Best part of your week.
I went to a movie last night.
That's cool. Did you see
I went to see
whatchamacallit?
Ready or Not 2. Yeah. Ready or Not
Nice.
2, Here I Come, I think is the proper title. I normally, dear viewers, we normally watch the movies we're going to talk about the night before the podcast. And this time I I swept it around.
And you're
I
watching it
switcheroo.
tomorrow.
I'm watching it tomorrow. Yeah, no, I watched it Sunday night, and then last night I went to the theater and it got yanked out of the theater today. It
Dang.
didn't do incredibly well, so I ended up having to pay full price to see it. I was the only one in the theater. Nobody else.
Mini review of Ready or Not 2. I don't know what Ready or Not 1 is about.
It might be on your list at some point.
2?
The number one, yeah.
Okay.
The second one is just a rehash of the first one, but it's fun. It's just unnecessary. That would be my review. It was fun but unnecessary. I could have done with or without it, but it was a fun night, and it was cool to see both Catherine Newton and Samara Weaving playing sisters in the movie. I think that was good casting. Radio Silence always does a good job, but that's not what we're here to do tonight. We're here to talk
Mm-mm.
about a different movie. But Andy, before we talk about that different movie, I'll fire those questions back at you. What's your favorite Haim song that you've listened to in the last week? You have
I
10
think
seconds.
I think the Steps, but also Hallelujah you sent to me, and
Mhm.
that's a fun song, which is off the same album.
Yep. And favorite Tom Segura quote?
Uh, I don't know if you've ever spent any time with these non-contributors, but he's talking about he's talking it's that's what comes to mind, but it might not be my favorite, but it comes from his bit talking about people who think it's impressive to share birthdays.
Yes. I love it.
That's
I
one
love
of my
that.
favorite. I don't. That's one of my favorite Tom Segura. But it's probably one of his most. Oh, I don't know the right word for it, but it's really good. He goes, bah, bah, bah. He's talking about people who
Mhm.
believe in astrology. It's pretty great.
Great. And then highlight of the week.
Uh, I don't know, man. It's been a fun week. What did I? Baseball's back. I'm a baseball fan, and baseball's back this week.
Good
And
Moneyball's
so,
back.
so my sleep schedule's all messed up because the Cleveland Guardians have been on the West Coast, so all their games start at like 10 p.m.
Mm.
And I haven't been watching all of the games, but it's enough that I'm like, yep, my sleep schedule's a little messed up.
Dang.
So that's fun. That's a good thing. I'm sure there's like an even better thing that I'm like forgetting about, but
Your firstborn child, a raise,
oh
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, no, still baseball. Baseball's
Dang.
back.
Well, that did kind of wake me up a little bit. We'll see. I'll get
Good.
sleepier.
The
It
speed
zoomed
trivia
in really
round.
close to you now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why it
looked
did. You
up.
put your head down and it really
I-
focused in on you.
I,
I don't think it's gonna go
no, I
back.
don't.
Oh,
There we go.
That
Okay,
was weird.
that was like I got caught, and all I was doing, I got new AirPods. Maybe that's another fun thing in my week. I got AirPod Pro 3s.
You can only say one fun thing for the week, so you got to pick
Okay.
baseball or
Sorry.
AirPods. I don't make the
Baseball is it.
rules.
It's baseball. Baseball or AirPods, Andy.
All right.
Yeah, baseball.
Cool. Well,
Whew.
so
Okay,
this week
so
we're talking about what? What are we talking about?
we're talking about
I haven't
1956's
seen it yet.
The Killing. Tell me all about it.
No, I watched it
Such a
Sunday.
fun idea. 1956 is The Killing. It's a film directed by Stanley Kubrick. I misspoke when I said off air it's the only Stanley Kubrick film I've seen. I've seen this and the film that he directed after it, which is Paths of Glory, starring Kirk
Ooh.
Douglas and the World War One epic. Have you seen that one?
I have not, but let me guess. You saw both of these movies somehow through Criterion.
I saw I at one point in my life I was a Criterion Channel subscriber. I was like a sophomore or junior in high school.
Yes. Yes, I knew it. I knew it.
And I think it was on that. And I was like, I've heard of Stanley Kubrick, and I think it was probably under some film noir collection. And I like film noir. Why are you staring at the top
I
corner of
got
your
really
screen?
concerned for a second because I thought it wasn't recording.
Oh,
They changed the UI over here, and I looked and I didn't see it. It doesn't. Okay, it disappears. Is what it is. It says
okay.
record if you jiggle the mouse.
Jiggle,
This is
jiggle.
a really like
This is
loose
riveting.
episode. This is an
Oh,
amazing
we're
episode.
loose. We're loose.
We're stupid loose, guys.
Dude, I was looking through the links you and I've sent each other. I don't know if you ever need a giggle, but just look through the links you and I've sent each other. Because I was looking for the Tropic Thunder behind the scenes thing to send somebody, because someone was talking about the movie and I was like, have you seen the behind the scenes? Because it's better than the movie. And anyways, 1956's The Killing, I saw, I think, for the first time on the Criterion Channel. And it when I realized you hadn't seen this film, I was really excited because I know that what this show is supposed to be is it's supposed to be you show me classics of cinema and really interesting, compelling films that I'll love for the rest of my life and take with me. And whenever I'm in good moments or bad moments, whether I'm, talking to somebody for the first time or going through a natural disaster, I'll be thinking of the movies. And that's how, and then I'm supposed to show you like blockbuster garbage that the average man is consuming. I realize that's supposed to be our dynamic,
I don't
even
know
though
if
it's
that's
not quite
supposed
been
to
what the
be
show
the dynamic.
has
That's just
been.
kind of what it became. I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be.
But when I realized there was like a pretty good movie that you had not seen, I like had to jump on it right away. Sometimes I'll like save a movie for a while. There's still movies that I've had on a list since the shows began, all 30 some episodes ago, that I've been saving, that I've been waiting for the right moment to strike. But when I put together, I was like, wait, this is a really good movie. I really like this movie. I wonder if Santino's seen it. And I texted you and you're like, no, I haven't seen it. I was like, what? Like, where is my mind? Craziness. And then we had to watch it. So here we are. Stanley Kubrick's, I don't know what numbered film it is. It's his first mature directorial debut. It's like his like third. He did another film noir directly before this. It's called Killer's Kiss. I haven't seen. And then he did Paths of Glory because Kirk Douglas saw this movie and was like, I want to work with that guy. And so this is a film noir film. It's a heist film. Do you want me to get into synopsises right now?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, good. It's a heist film about this guy who's just gotten out of prison, who's planned this elaborate heist of a horse race track. Is that what they're called?
Take two.
Horse? What are they called?
It's called a racetrack.
A racetrack, but a racetrack could be like NASCAR.
It could be, but I don't know. When people bet on the track, they don't usually bet on NASCAR, do they? It's
okay, well,
like
the people would have needed context clues that I said later. Why did it just reframe me?
I don't know.
Anyways,
it could sense that you were disturbed. And
yeah,
so
it really it was a dramatic reframing.
Dun, dun, dun.
So it's about this guy who's just gotten out of prison, who brings together a crew to rob this horse racetrack. And it's this elaborate plan. The movie, and we kind of can't talk about the movie without it being this, is told in a non-chronological structure, which you say that and it makes it sound like the end of the movie is the beginning of the movie, and in the middle of the movies, the begin. I don't know, but it's
It's really
pretty much
only
just
like
it
the first.
repeats itself.
It's only like the first third, really, of the movie that's
No,
slightly out
well,
of order. The rest of it's
the
basically in order. Maybe the first half of the movie is slightly out of order,
well, I
and they
think
keep
here's what
coming
people
back to
mean when they
moments.
say when they say non chronological is it's not non chronological in the fact that the first third, the setup is all taking place over the same amount of time, and the climax is all taking place at the same time, but we follow like one plot line at a time.
Right.
That's what they mean. Because and we can get into when the order of things actually happen, but I think it's like it's just that. It's just kind of a cyclical this we're seeing five characters point of view of this time, the middle of the movie, and then the end we see like the wrap up and then the end. So yeah, it's a good movie. It's got a fun cast of film noir and like B movie classic actors,
A lot of
including
Twilight Zone people in there too.
yeah, a lot of like a lot of people, a lot of few people are in
A
this
lot of few
movie,
people.
including as I pull this up. Oh well, what's the main guy's name? He has a great name, Sterling something, which
Hmm.
we do not make actor names like that anymore. I'll say that much.
Isn't there Sterling K. Brown right now?
Is there
I think that's the name I've heard.
Sterling Hayden, Colleen Gray, Vince Edwards, J.C. Flippin, Ted DeCorsia, Marie Windsor, Elisha Cook Jr. of House on Haunted Hill fame, Joe Sawyer, James Edwards, great cast, and Timothy Carey. How could we not mention Timothy Carey? Uh, Great film, Stanley Kubrick. It's really interesting director. You've mentioned that you're not a Stanley Kubrick fan, which I think is a fun place to start, and I understand why because I wanted to like look into this movie a bit before we talked about it more, just because I find this film really interesting, and we'll get into that as we go on. Uh, but I didn't realize how much people just worshipped Stanley Kubrick, and I immediately was like, "Oh man, is this all like? Oh no, I don't know if I can get through anything that's not like him being like this. His pure genius comes through when it's like, okay, okay, guys, calm down. So, do you
Open
want
the
to
window,
maybe
guys.
do you want to explain what your thoughts were going into this, your feelings towards Mr. Kubrick? So,
Sure.
tell us how you're
Um,
feeling.
well, at the moment, I'm feeling a little balmy and a little whoa. That
Our
camera.
audience couldn't see that, but it just zoomed in on me, like
Andy
really.
went to
Wow,
like scratch his nose, and the camera just went, yeah. It looked like something out of Evil Dead. It just ran up at him.
it really did. I got scared.
Um, so yeah, so the my feelings toward Kubrick are it's a bit of a love-hate relationship. I've seen a lot of his latter work. Like I've seen Full Metal Jacket, and I've seen The Shining, and I've seen parts of Clockwork Orange, not all of it. I've seen like um, Barry Lyndon, and I remember seeing, I think, half of, well, I've seen all of 2001, and I've seen half of Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Um, and the thing is, Kubrick is really great at a technical level. And that's kind of like proto Fincher, right? Like that's who Fincher idolized, that's who a lot of others idolize. And you can see that, you can see it in the symmetry, you can see it in the precision of the craft. But his subject matter, I just never cared that much for. I didn't care for 2001, and most of his later work, I don't care. I just don't. And I never particularly liked The Shining as a story in general, let alone the movie itself. And I know that pretty much disqualifies me from my seat as a filmmaker because all the film bros are going to be like, "What? You don't like The Shining? What do you mean you don't like The Shining?" It's like, look, simmer down. Like it's not a great
I
story.
haven't seen it.
You're not missing much, man.
I
Like
haven't
it's
seen it or 2001 or anything else besides Paths of
yeah.
Glory, as I've already said.
Shining is really just it's fine, but it's not, I don't know. I don't get why people think it's this amazing thing. I get why it's well made. I get why the story works. I've seen plenty of other stories that are just as good, if not better. So all this to say, when we came into this movie, I was actually pretty
The
excited.
Royal We.
Yeah, the Royal We. When we came into this movie, well, you and I, when we came into this movie, I was excited
Mhm.
that we were gonna watch some of his older stuff because I hadn't really seen much of his older stuff. And when I found out that it was a noir, I was very excited because I thought, well, this, if nothing else, this should work as a noir, and I think it does. So, but my expectations going in were relatively basic. This is a movie from 1956, and you know you're pretty much in good hands if it's a studio picture from any time before 1960. Like that's
Yeah.
just kind of like where you're at. Like from 1930, like from the moment we got talkies until the 60s, literally until literally 1960, anything the studios made, you knew was basically going to be, it was going to be stock, right? Like it was going to be a stock movie, stock tropes, stock characters. It was going to work. The production value was going to be decent. The acting was going to be traditional. You were in for effectively little in the way of surprises, right? And
Yeah.
up until the early 50s, after the Hays Code got lifted, you also knew like you weren't going to hear, for instance, the N-word in a movie, which was very surprising when that utterance happened in this particular film. I went, oh wait, right, we're past that point now. We can say whatever we want. That was new.
Yeah.
But
Do you
otherwise,
want
you
to,
knew what you're in for.
this is, you're picking up on something really interesting that I kind of want to flesh out. You mentioned when we were talking off air last week about being able to talk about this, that this is kind of our first golden age. Well, it's not even golden age, but like classic Hollywood film
Yeah.
we're talking about on the show. And I think that's what's really fun about classic Hollywood is you kind of have this box that everything's gonna be in.
Hmm.
And like I kind of make no bones about that like your expectations, I think set expectations are something I've never really thought of like in those terms, like what you're saying, but like you're in for something decent. At the
Hmm.
worst, it's going to be really boring and not much is going to happen.
Right.
But in all likelihood, it's going to be pretty good. There's not going to be like anything egregious.
Hmm.
And like content wise, there's also this box, which I think is just so it makes it makes the craft more interesting. You only have so many tools you can use. And I mean, that's just a place where like where Hollywood's at. And I think that's like really important watching this film and watching other films like it. I mean, I am prone to defend Citizen Kane
Hmm.
against some modern critiques of it being boring or whatever, just because it's like it's kind of this historical framework of you have to know what it is when it came out. You have to have like a at least a vague appreciation for that. And I think a film like Citizen Kane, and I think a film like this, which this film is far from perfect, but knowing when it came out kind of makes this film even like makes it impressive.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
if you view it by like modern heist film standards, it's like, meh, whatever, maybe. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, that's
It's
kind of
decent.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
passable by modern standards, and it even holds up in certain places. Structure-wise, it's very interesting, and pacing, it's great. Like
Yeah.
old movies could sometimes be a little dodgy when it came to pacing, and this movie's got it. Like this movie keeps you invested. Um, but you're correct. Like you go into it and you know what you're in for, and you kind of know what the standard was. And it's just like anything else, appreciating old literature or appreciating Shakespeare. It's like, is it the best? Not necessarily, but know what it is, know what it did at the time. And that's the thing, actually, I was just having this conversation the other day. Innovators are always going to be an interesting conversation because the innovator is not perfect. That's kind of the definition of the innovator. They can't be. They're making it up as they go. They're the first one to figure it out. You look at Willis O'Brien. His
Hmm.
animation was all shaky. But and creature design was meh. But also look at what you've got to work with. He pretty much single-handedly created the not just stop motion process that we have in North America. I'm aware that there were, like Stairwitch and other, people in Eastern Europe that were doing stop motion before O'Brien. The point being, in terms of the way we applied it to
Yeah.
our films for a special effect, he pretty much pioneered that, created all the processes. You've got optical printers that are being utilized. And in fact, what's interesting is if you look, not to get wide of the point here, but if you look at what Harryhausen was doing from a compositing perspective, it was actually inferior to what O'Brien was doing. O'Brien was doing better and more intricate composites, bypacking multiple pieces of film, rear projections, optical printers. Like there was a lot of stuff happening in a frame. And Harryhausen basically just went, I'm going to put it in front of a rear projection screen, and that's that's it. However,
Yeah.
Harryhausen really stepped it up on the creature design. He was able to utilize better technology and like running foam latex, actually sculpting and casting characters instead of build-up process. And he was also just animating the crap out of these things. Like his animation was leaps above O'Brien, but that's because he had O'Brien's shoulders to stand on. So all this
Yeah.
back to the idea of the innovator, when you're the first to do something, yeah, 100 years later or 50 years later, people are going to look back at it and go, meh. But if you understand what we were working with, if you understood that no one else did this before, and in this film, The Killing in particular, there's a lot of things happening here. I don't know if they were exactly the first, but they seemed pretty darn new for
They're
what
like
time you're in.
they're cutting edge, and examples of that, I mean, just because we're having this conversation now, I think is the structure of the film,
Yep.
which is, when you think about that, like this is one of those first films, at least a very influential one, to not just have everything play from A to B to C to D, which, like we were talking about, it's not like something crazy. It's more
No.
like we see A1, A2, A3, A4 and how they
And
work
for the
together.
first 10 minutes, it's a little confusing.
And here's part of why, and I'm not, I I have no primary sources to back this up. This is
Mhm.
internet hearsay. Um, Kubrick screen tested the film. They screen tested the film, and it was not received well due to its structure. And so then he edited it into chronological order, and that was just a mess. Somewhere in this process, I don't know if it was
That's where the
there for,
narration came from.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it
It would
was
have to
in
be
the
because it
test
doesn't make
screening.
any sense.
Yeah, I don't know if it was in the test screening stage or in the end, and the compromise was this narration that we have.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Kubrick
very unhelpful
supposedly
narration.
hated, and like he let allow me to, and you know how I feel about like having to explain a movie for it to be okay. So I'm not
Mhm.
necessarily trying to do that. Kubrick apparently hated this narration, and some of the information, I don't know what it is. I read this after I watched it last night, and so I don't know what it is. Some of the information in the narration is supposedly wrong, or
Oh,
at
good.
least misleading. And that's where to like
You
to
mean
what I
like
was
done
saying
on
earlier,
purpose?
on purpose, like because he
Interesting.
hated that it had to be in there. Part of it, I think, is almost, to be fair, and this is kind of what we were talking about with the structure, the fact that it's like 3 hours earlier, this was happening, 15
Mhm.
minutes earlier. I don't think that's the point, like what the narrative is trying to do, is necessarily trying to do this like before
Mhm.
thing. It's just trying to do,
It was
well, now
before,
we're
before,
here.
before. It was
Yeah.
before heaven and earth. And how does that go?
Yeah. Well, it was before the mount. I think it's like before the mountains and all that.
Oh,
Like
that's what it was.
God's grace on earth. Anyways,
Ignorant race of mankind can
yeah,
never comprehend.
yeah. I really wish I could put that clip in here. Anyways, if you don't know what we're talking about, sorry.
Just
It's
so that the audience playing along at home, it's too good to rob them of.
it's yeah,
What is the
it's
documentary?
there's a okay, so man,
We're
we really are getting on sidebars
Well, real
this week.
quick, we there's a documentary that Andy and I really like a few minutes of, and it's by Evil Knievel's son,
Yeah, it's a
right?
Robbie Knievel doc
About Bigfoot.
about Bigfoot. Uh, I'm trying to look it up.
And there's a
Knievel's
dude.
Quest Bigfoot 2021, and there's a dude in it who it just has this Eli Watson of Small Town Monsters fame brought this
Friend of
to
the
my
show.
attention when we were yeah, good friend of the show. Eli showed this to me one time when we were together. I think one time he was up in Ohio. I mean, yeah. And it's this clip of a guy who's like this Bigfoot researcher, and I
Who
don't the
never
thing,
shows up in the movie ever again.
yeah, who, funny enough, like we know a lot of few people in the Bigfoot industry, and I'm pretty sure like none of us really know who he is, which is not
Bigfoot
like,
industry.
which is not to be like
The
pushing this
Bigfoot
guy down.
industry.
You know, the Bigfoot, I really got, I should have said the Bigfoot industry
The
when I was
Bigfoot
trying to
industry.
wake you up, but it's this
Oh
guy, and he
man.
goes on this speech about like Bigfoot in California, because that's where this takes place. And he gets several facts wrong. Speaking of facts being wrong, he gets several like proper names of important Bigfoot researchers wrong. And he goes on this speech about how like an ignorant race of science and academics or
Yes.
something like that
Can never
misses,
comprehend.
they'll never comprehend. And it's part, like he says something about God's grace on earth. It's pretty crazy. And the whole time there's like this like rock and roll music playing in the
Mhm.
background, and Robbie Knievel's beside him driving an RV, and
Yeah.
it's just
But the whole speech that this guy gives starts with the phrase, it was before, 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 just so that the audience can
yeah,
connect the dots
there we go.
in our very
Yeah,
non-linear, much like the movie we're reviewing, our very non-linear review of this movie. That's where that comes from. But so yeah, so back to what you were originally saying, and I will be laughing about Bigfoot industry a little
yeah.
later, because it implies that like Sasquatch is sold in stores or something. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So much like the movie we're reviewing, this episode is very convoluted. It's very nonlinear, and Kubrick didn't like the narration, and so some of the narration is wrong. And so the narration will just tell you things in the movie, like 2 hours before this happened, and then you'll see something else, and you're like, I don't know who these people are, and then it'll show you another scene. And it's like that. Then an hour after that, and you're like, what?
What?
It's like for 10, 15 minutes straight, you're kind of like, I don't know where we are. And then
That's how the
eventually,
movie
like, you figure it
begins.
out. Yeah.
That's how the movie begins.
It
Is
just
like
introduces all the characters in a very, like, in kind of a convoluted way, honestly. It's not, it's a rocky
a
start, but once you get
couple
15
are
minutes,
natural, and then
yeah,
whenever we skip to like a different location, it's kind of like,
it's
okay,
jarring.
wait.
Yeah. Because you're introduced to the lead, who's like newly released from prison, Johnny. He's newly
Johnny
released
Clay.
from prison, which is a great name. And his girlfriend, who's like every clingy girl I've ever met in my life, is is like, oh, I'm so glad you're back, Johnny. I didn't even know how to tie my shoes without you. What are we gonna do? Promise me that you'll never leave. Like,
Some of
super
the
clingy.
weirdest dialogue in the film is in that scene with them, and she's yeah, it
Yes.
literally is like, I felt like you were locked in there, but I was locked out here. It's like,
Right.
okay.
And she's
I
like,
think I have a note from I didn't take many notes this time around watching the film, but one of mine is like this dialogue is straightforward because it
oh
was
yeah.
literally like, I missed you so bad. I thought
Mhm.
I'd never live without you.
Well, and the weird thing is this movie in its opening credits gives you the sense, and it's true, I guess, after I researched it a bit, that Kubrick wrote the movie. I don't know if he just wrote like a plot outline and characters, but then somebody else came in and kind of iced all over it and went, I'm gonna punch up the dialogue. So this guy gets what might be the only separate dialogue credit I've ever seen in a film. And boy,
Yeah,
howdy, it
he uses it.
delivers.
Yeah.
There's some dialogue. But she's literally like that. Like at one point, she's like, I'm not all that pretty and I've never been smart, so I'm just gonna have to like listen to
Yeah.
whatever you say. I'll just do whatever you want. I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes, lady.
I'd like to see a home math video about that
Ah.
girl.
I'm telling you, she's like every clingy girl I've ever met. They're always like, I want to crack open your rib cage and wear you like a costume. Like, just don't leave me. And I'm like, wow. Anyway, so Johnny's newly out of prison and his girlfriend's super clingy, and he's like, don't worry, babes. I got a plan. It's foolproof. Me and some of the boys, we're gonna rob this racetrack. Don't you worry about it. Now you just run along. Don't you worry your pretty little head over. And she's like, okay. And she's supposed to like wait for him at the airplane. I'm just gonna say at the airplane, not even at like I couldn't think of what the heck it was called.
Airport.
Airport, thank you. I'm gonna wait at the airplane. I told you, man, I'm punchy and tired. So this is a weird episode for all and to all a good night. Anyway, so she's like, okay, I'll just wait by the airplanes until you get all your money. And so the plot is this. Johnny Clay is going to recruit a whole bunch of other guys, two of which are inside men who work at the racetrack. One of them is like a guy who takes the bets, and the other guy, I don't really remember what the other guy does.
Bartender.
Oh, he's a bartender. That's right. Thank you. And so it's those guys and some other guys, and they're going to rob the place of $2 million, which is equivalent to like 25 million in today's currency, adjusted for inflation.
Good, good actual payout
Yeah,
instead of like the lady killers when it was like
right.
$300,000 in
Each.
1990s money.
Yeah, not as good. So yeah, as far as heists go, pretty good haul. And the way they're going to do it is kind of convoluted, and we'll get into that in a minute. And then, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's in that sense, it's kind of like every heist film you've ever seen. There's a lot of like walking up to some guy and being like, "Hey, Johnny, I haven't seen you since whenever," and then like they shake hands and they go, "Wait, what do you need?" And he's like, "I need you to do this." And that's kind of how heist movies go. Like you guys have seen heist movies. Like that's what happens. Like You
There's like
introduce the crew.
there's a crooked cop
Yep.
who's in on it. There's the
There's a
guy
sh-
with the money.
The guy with the money, yeah, the financier, which is an
Who's like
interesting idea.
who's
That
like
you
this
need a
old guy
financier.
who's like a father figure to Johnny Clay, but also it's just
Yeah,
not really.
there's an
I think
odd.
there's like a time difference between talk about how
Yeah,
things age. I think that's just one of those.
yeah, we'll get to
There's a
that moment.
moment.
We'll get to that moment. I want to be too nonlinear, or else everybody's really
Yeah,
gonna just bail on this episode. But there is a moment, dear viewer.
there's a
The
moment
word.
between Johnny Clay and that guy that I'm
What was
not
his
sure
name?
what it means.
Was it?
I'll look it up.
Wasn't Marvin? It was something like that.
Stimpy.
It wasn't Stimpy. It wasn't. It wasn't Stimpy. So yeah. So Johnny's gonna do that, and we're introduced to this other guy. Uh, is it George? The real shrimpy guy whose wife is awful and hates him.
George is the guy who. Sorry, my camera was so close for a second. George is the guy who is with the wife, who's the guy who takes the bets at the place. Yeah.
Yes.
Who's from
Okay.
House on Haunted Hill.
He is this little short guy. His wife is taller than him, and she hates
Elisha
him. And
Cook
she's
Jr.
yes.
plays opposite Marie Windsor. Do you
Yes.
know the age difference between those two people in
I was gonna
real
guess
life?
about 20 years.
It is, wait, I was doing the math last night. 16 years. He is
That's close.
16 years her elder.
Yep.
And they play husband and wife.
I mean,
Just,
that checks out.
yeah. I just wanted you all to. I was doing the math.
This isn't the licorice pizza episode. We don't need to get into gaps again. But yeah, so she despises him. She hates his guts, and he'll do anything for her. So he's robbing. We do get a bit of, and this is interesting that the movie does. It gives the characters some depth. It shows you like some of their motivation for why they're robbing this place. He thinks he can buy her love, and she's kind of told him that that's the case, even though she's been having an affair with this other dude for a while and he doesn't know it. And then there's another guy who's the bartender at the racetrack, and his wife is sick, so he wants to get money to help her. Johnny just wants money. And
so that
everybody
he
else
can run
just
off
wants
with his
money.
lady Faye.
Yeah.
And then
And
Marvin Unger, that's
yes,
our that's the financier.
Mhm.
Question mark.
Yes. We don't know why he's in it. And then of course the crooked cop's crooked, so he wants some money.
Yeah, he's like has a debt he has to pay back.
Yeah. And so there's a moment in the film where they're going over the plan, and George's wife is caught listening in because George spilled the beans to her and told her like, oh, we're going to be robbing this place. And so then she spilled the beans to her boyfriend. And so now they're plotting to like get in the works and gum up the mess and cause a stir and all the other cliches I could think of. So if you want to kind of take it from there, like that's where we're at. I was trying to set up the story as best I could.
So I mean that's our story. And then we get, in a sense, we really have these dynamics between George and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like our kind of
They're
tension.
almost more main characters than Johnny is. We spend a lot of time with George and his wife, more than we do with Johnny.
We spend a ton of time with them, and it's kind of this like weird dynamic. And then we kind of just see Johnny like setting up the heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he needs to hire, and this part's I understand one half of the equation. I don't understand the other half. So he tells the guys like, look, here's how we're going to get in. We know every inch of this place.
And there's you're at the scene where they're at the table, which is a really great looking scene.
Yeah.
Just want to point that out. It's like lit by this one lamp, and they're just some are in silhouette, some are just blasted in this one light, and they're
very noir.
It's very noir. Very noir.
And he's going over the plan like you always do in heists. And he's like, all right, this is the map. This is the layout of the place. Bartender's going to be at the bar. You're going to be taking the money. This guy's going to be over here. Marv, you stay out of the way, even though he doesn't stay out of the way, but that doesn't cause a problem either. And then Johnny's going to be the one who actually robs the place. And so they keep all the funds, all the bets, they keep all that money in one spot in like this counting room on the second floor behind an employees only area. And so the plan is Johnny's going to hire, with the funding from Marvin, 2 extra dudes to come in for a flat fee and just kind of disrupt things so that they can get a distraction. The one guy makes sense. It's this like super brutish, like, I don't know if he's Russian, what he is, really heavy accent. He meets him in a chess lounge.
I could only understand about half of what he said.
Yeah. But he looks kind of like Tor Johnson. He's really, really thick and really hairy and bald, and he's a wrestler, clearly. And so he hires him for, I think, is it like, was he paying him 5,000?
It was
Was he
something
paying
like
him
that.
2,500? A lot of money
2,500, I think. Yeah.
to just at a very specific time. It's all very like Ocean's 11. It's like set your watch by it. At a specific time, come into the track and start a fight. And basically, the assumption is it'll take every officer in this place to restrain him. And it does, which is hilarious because that's one of those things where you're like, well, we're just kind of assuming this is how this is going to go. And then so I get that because then all the police or all the people, the security personnel, they all come funneling out of the room, which allows enough distraction for Johnny to go into the room and go steal the money. However, I don't understand the sharpshooter, played by a man who never opens his mouth. He says all his lines like this, but he won't open his mouth. He never opens his mouth. It's almost
Yeah,
like he was doing a
Nikki
Kirk
played by
Douglas impression, but like not a good Kirk Douglas impression. I don't get it. But who was he played by?
Timothy Carey.
Timothy Carey. He's another one that shows up all over the 50s and 60s. This dude, they hire him, he's a sharpshooter, to shoot a horse in the middle of the race. And at first I kind of thought, oh, maybe if people are betting on this particular horse and they all bet against him, they'll get money. And then I'm like, oh no, that's not why. He's just shooting a horse.
A distraction.
Yeah, but not much of one because it doesn't slow down the race. It doesn't buy him any time. And already all the security personnel, sure, but all the security personnel are already like dealing with discount Tor Johnson. So
more of a distraction.
I guess. But the dumb thing is he's like, you're going to shoot the horse from this parking lot. And there's like a guy, there's this black guy who's like the lot attendant. And he's within view of the lot attendant. And it's like, well, why did you think this was a good idea? It goes south, by the way. He calls the guy the N-word after he won't leave him alone, which is super surprising. And then like he shoots the horse, the guy comes running out after him, and then he gets shot dead.
By a cop. He gets shot by a cop. And to be clear, that moment plays out in a more interesting way, that the black friend and the sharpshooter Nikki kind of like they befriend each other at first, because the sharpshooters are trying to get in, and so he's kind of very nice to this guy, and so the gate attendant takes like kind of fondly to him, especially because the sharpshooter tells him he's a paraplegic. So
Which
he's kind of like
because he's driving a car.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, and so like they befriend each other, and the gate attendant brings him this horseshoe for good luck, and then the sharpshooter's like beat it and calls him the N-word, and the guy throws down the horseshoe, and it's that horseshoe that he backs up initially, and it pops his tire so that he can't get away. And then
which happens very quickly, and he gets shot in like a second after that. So it's not super clear that the horseshoe really, like if I had one nitpick to direct at the now late Stanley Kubrick, it'd be like, maybe give yourself a little more time between when the cop shows up and this horseshoe, because you don't really connect it until they show it to you, and you're like, oh, well, you were going to get shot anyway. Like,
there's a couple moments in the climax that it's like, you should have let this hit a little harder, because they're really cool. That's a moment. We learned that Johnny Clay, I mean, we're in the climax already. We're very quickly going through this movie. Johnny Clay like almost gets caught, and he bumps into a security guard. Well, a security guard's like catches him going out
of the employee only area.
And the financier, who is not supposed to show up at the racetrack, who's told, stay away, you don't need to be there, is there drunk.
Which amounts to nothing.
No, it doesn't amount to nothing. It amounts to he bumps into the cop a lot drunkenly. You might have not even caught this because it's so underplayed. He's the guy who bumps into the cop that confuses him so Johnny Clay can punch him and get away.
Yeah, I didn't I just thought he just slugged the guy, and that was it.
No, like the financier guy bumps into the cop, which like gives Johnny Clay the extra second to get out. See
that could have been played up a bit.
Yeah.
There's a few things like that. This movie is it's very short. It's not a very long movie. So basically, the heist goes off pretty much not entirely without a hitch, but it goes about as well as could be expected. They all get away except for the sharpshooter. Johnny robs the place with a rubber clown mask, which is pretty creepy. Because the
Yeah.
mouth moves like when he talks. So it's like it's kind of a fitted mask, which is interesting. It's a really cool visual for especially for this time period because it's the tramp. It's like that clown character. So
Mhm.
that's fun. Gets the 2 million. He puts it, in a bag, throws it out the window, and it's later revealed that that bag gets thrown out this particular window, which is where the cop has been parked all day, and he basically
Which
just
is
takes
our
the bag.
first setup of the
Yeah.
non-linear cycle, which I think is fun. It's the
Mhm.
cop showing up is our first like he had timed and the narration's like he had timed it. He knew exactly where to be.
Mhm.
1 minute early would have been fine, but 1 second late would have thrown the whole plan off.
Mhm.
And he like
Yeah, you don't know
that's our
what
first
his
setup.
job
Yeah.
is until we flash back to it after it's already happened. Because you
Yes.
see him throw the money out the window, and then we just kind of get out of that scene, and then it's later, and you're like, well, whatever happened to the money? Well, the cop put it in his car. So, and then he doesn't take it anywhere obvious. He takes it to this motel that Johnny's been staying at, and then Johnny takes that and puts it in a suitcase, which won't lock all that well, which
He
I
doesn't put it in the suitcase yet. I don't
oh
think.
wait, that's right. Yeah, not yet. That's later. There's a lot of things that kind of happen. So
Yeah.
basically, in the meantime, all the other guys have been waiting back at the meeting place, and they're getting antsy because Johnny's not back yet. And Johnny's late because I forget why, but he's late by like 15 minutes. And so while they're waiting, George is getting really antsy because George's wife
Why
has
is
lied
he
to him.
late? He's
I
late
can't
for some
remember.
like really silly reason that it's then like
Like stuck
it's
at a
really
stoplight or something.
yeah. He it might have been yeah, he like gets stuck in some traffic on the way to pick up the money and
Right.
that causes him to be late.
But George's wife previously had insinuated to him that Johnny like took advantage of her earlier when they caught her, which so she's trying to sow seeds of discord. And there's another one of these moments in like a few minutes that happens where it's like information you wouldn't have known that happens off screen that I guess you're just supposed to kind of go, oh, okay. And this is one of them. So we know that this entire time, Johnny's wife and her boyfriend have been plotting to take all the money for themselves. We don't really see them since the end of the first act. And now it's
Which
almost the end of the movie.
and in that moment we have a great like this movie is filled with and we will hopefully talk about this a bit more, filled with like really good long takes
Mhm.
where they're not I wouldn't call them oneers in
No,
like the classic
it's
sense.
fairly standard filmmaking for the time. They shot
Yeah,
a lot in long takes.
but they use them well for like setting up, which is like
The blocking's great.
you'll get through like a scene and then the last few seconds of the same take will be set up for something later.
Mhm.
And I think this movie does it very well. I mean, you're right. It's not necessarily out of the ordinary. I feel like though with movies of the time you'd maybe get like 2 or 3 of those in a film and this movie has like 8 or 9 of
Maybe,
those.
maybe. Um, but yeah, and that's fair. There might be a little more here. Kubrick was already starting to kind of flesh out his style a little bit at this point. Because his first movies, when you're at that time, you're working pretty much for the studio. There's really none of you in the movie. You're just a hired gun. So by this point, he's already starting to get those stylistic flourishes. But so yeah, so we really haven't seen George's wife or the boyfriend in a while. So George is getting upset. And the other guys are starting to kind of wonder where Johnny's at. And there's a knock at the door. They think it's Johnny, and it's the boyfriend and some other dude, and they've got guns and they want the money. And then Johnny just comes out of the other room blasting,
George.
or
George comes
George,
out of the
sorry, George comes out of the other room blasting, and those guys all shoot at once. And by some miracle, we end up killing everyone in the room, even people who were like in another room somehow are like
Yeah.
all dead. I don't know exactly what
Well, they
happens because it
all are.
happens
They
very
all
fast.
come in. All 3 of our guys
Yeah, except
come
later
in.
after they're dead, we pan into another room and there's someone dead on the floor in the other room. So I'm like, bullets have just gone in every direction because everyone died except George. George has been shot, but he's still alive. And so
I don't think
he's
we panic. We come into a room and we see everyone
See,
dead,
this is the
right?
problem. The way the camera move is and the way this room is laid out, you're looking at people on the floor and you can't tell where in space they are in relation to each other for like a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's all shot reverse shot before they start shooting. So it's a little like I don't know where these people are.
Yeah. But it is a neat shot because it's like this POV of George as he leaves.
Yeah.
Just
And
kind of neat.
it's a little confusing. At which point the narrator then tells us that Johnny was late and he's on his way, but they had previously agreed, even though we never heard this, that like Johnny, wow, that Johnny and everybody agreed that like if anything should go wrong, Johnny would just keep driving and then he'd divide up the money at a later date. So he comes out and sees George coming out of the building all bloodied and he's like, nope, and just keeps driving. George stumbles back to his house and confronts his wife and just he shoots her in a way that looks like he shoots the ceiling. He goes blah like that. And
Yeah.
somehow manages to shoot her low, like in the stomach, but it looks like he just shot the ceiling. Anyway,
And there's a parrot in that scene.
who's talking? Yeah, and then
That
he
the movie
collapses.
hasn't done that before. Yeah.
Kind of weird. This is the part that I'm talking about when it comes to like things that happened off screen, because it's just assumed, like the audience is just supposed to assume that at some point he must have got wise to her cheating on him and must have realized that she was lying about Johnny. Because the last thing we knew from George,
Because that's the other thing is like, well, where's that dupe George or whatever? And he's like, here's the dupe. Bang, bang, bah, 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 bah. Everyone's dead.
right? And it's like, apparently that happened sometime that the movie didn't feel like showing us because last thing I knew, it doesn't ruin it. I'm just saying, like, last thing I knew,
No, yeah. Yeah.
George
No, I get it.
was suspicious of Johnny. And then next thing you know, he's shooting everybody and he kills his wife. And you're like, okay, I guess old George woke up. So they all die. And now it's just Johnny. Johnny buys that suitcase. Suitcase won't stay shut, but you would think you would just take it back and get like a better one, but whatever. Suitcase
Or you
won't stay
think he'd
shut.
buy 2 suitcases
Yeah,
with all the
smaller
money?
ones, yeah, or like at least twine the thing shut so it won't open.
Or, I mean, like, to be fair, okay, we are in nitpick territory. This is a whole nother heist film, and I kind of want to make sure I say this, that could just be solved. Like, the whole plot of it doesn't happen if security cameras are existing,
Right.
which is like a thing in Lady Killers, and it's a thing in this where it's like,
Right.
and it's the 50s here, so it's more acceptable than
Yeah.
Lady Killers. But I'd let it slide. He's in a rush. He's got to make his flight.
He's got to make his flight. Faye's waiting for him. She's getting more clingy and insecure by the minute. And it's been a lot of minutes. And he gets there, and then, oh no, you can't take this suitcase on as a carry-on because it's too big. It exceeds our size limit. And he talks to the manager and goes Karen mode on him. And the manager's like, nope, it's not going to work. And so they have to check the bag. And so they're standing there at the gate or whatever. They're like standing out, like outside, watching the planes on the runway. And they see the guy with the baggage and they see the luggage. And that suitcase is teetering on top of the luggage cart. And there's this weird old lady with this nasty little Chihuahua dog thing. And it jumps out of her arms and starts running out on the runway barking. And the guy swerves. And the luggage falls over, opens up, and all the money flies out onto the runway because of the plane propeller, which is a fun shot. That's really cool. And Johnny's like, yeesh. And then he and Faye like start fast walking to the front of the airport. And they're calling security. And he makes it outside, and they can't get a taxi in time. And these guys with guns turn around. And Faye's like, you should run, Johnny. He's like, no. And he turns around and faces them. And then freeze frame, the end of the movie. This movie ends, and I know you have no frame of reference for what I'm about to say, but this movie ends like a Cannon film. Cannon films were notorious.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I've watched Mystery Science Theater 3000.
There we go. They were like notorious for like the movie's going at a normal pace, and then the minute you get to the climax, it's like bup, 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 and it's just done. It's almost like the movie's walking down the stairs, and then the last 3 stairs, the movie just trips, falls flat on its face, and we roll credits. It's like you can feel the thing run out of budget. It's like wow, and then roll the credits. It's like we're done. Like it gets out of there fast. It's like, well, we could have taken like another minute or two, but that's how every Cannon film ends, and that's how this film ends. That's how a lot of old movies kind of end in general, is they just kind of went, that's it. We don't care.
And that's the end of our story.
Exactly. They always end fairly abruptly, but this one ends really abruptly. It's like,
I mean, we live in the age of the like epilogue, post-credit scene, coda, you name it, last 40 minutes of Stranger Things. Like We live in that
Last
time.
hour of Stranger Things.
My bad. I'm so sorry. A pox spawned me. But it's this thing where like we're used to these. I mean, think of even like It's a Wonderful Life. Think of
Yeah.
like all these films that's like, and they got it, the money, and that's it.
Yep.
That is the way
That
these
is
movies
it.
end.
It's
Rosebud was the name of the sled. That's it.
I do love that old movies didn't waste time because I do hate epilogues because the
Yeah.
story's done. It's done. We don't need any more. That said, there
This movie
are
ends abruptly.
yes, this movie ends abruptly, and there are ways to do an epilogue that don't feel like we're taking forever either. Like the Lord of the Rings, 9 endings, etc., Stranger Things, on and on. But this movie does, like, it trips, falls, snaps its neck, and that's the end. It's just done. There's no ambulance, there's no resuscitation, no real credits. It's just
Well,
like we're
and
done.
to what you're saying, like, and so does Johnny's plan.
Yeah,
Johnny's
it's just
plan
done.
dies.
Real quick.
It's been rocky, and then it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Which, again, that's a product of the times. As a nitpick, I would love to have had like a little more to the end, like a little more fight to the end, where like
maybe another line of dialogue.
yeah, maybe another line or just even like maybe they get in a taxi and we could have like a short chase and then it's like he has to choose what to do and maybe he pushes her out of the car so that they'll go after him instead of her. You know what I mean? Like something. Like you could have given us a little more and then like there's a bit of a self-sacrifice. There could have just been a little more to do so that it felt a little more neat and tidy. But that said, it's a fun movie. It's really engaging. It's really gripping. It holds your interest. And it's really well shot. And it is very noir. And the dialogue is at times really sharp and interesting in that kind of, yeah, fast talking kind of way. And then at other times it's like, I've missed you. You've been gone for this long exactly. And the audience needs to know that. But it swings wildly between the two.
It's like there's a scene between the the crooked cop and like the guy he owns money to.
Yeah.
Is I think this pendulum of like
Mhm.
great kind of like gangster, like, come on, I'd give you the money if I had it. Like,
Mhm.
but also like, I owe you money. I
Yeah.
know I do. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I think Nikki's character that's like this, like the guy who talks like this is like great, but then like he's got great moments, and then we have moments where it is like, I love you, George, but I hate you at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the dialogue between George and his wife, I think that's when the pendulum swings the widest and the fastest. Moment to moment, their dialogue between George and his wife can be like pretty darn good and like really hard boiled. And then in another moment, sound like a 12-year-old wrote it. And you're like, and it keeps swinging between the two,
Yeah.
like mad, like back and forth. And it just is what it is. And she plays her part well. She's got a slappable demeanor. You really want to just push her down a flight of stairs, She's the kind of woman you marry for insurance. Let me put it that way. She's the kind of woman you go, I want to push you down the stairs so bad, but I want to make money doing it too. So let's get married and then I'll push you down the stairs. It's that kind of person. She's really despicable, is what I'm getting at.
No, she is. She absolutely is.
And George he's just enough of what would that be? A milksop? He's just is that the phrase? He's just enough.
I don't know what that means.
He's a
simp.
He really is. He really is. And so you kind of want to slap him too. Like slap her for being a jerk, slap him for going along with it. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. What else you got, Andy? That's all I got really. It's a very short film.
It's a short film. It's to the point. It's shot in a really fun noir way. I mean, that's what I think is interesting about this film. Is it is like it's noir, but it's this crime heist film that then has like it has moments where you're like, oh my goodness, there's really something here. Like the clown mask and some of the dialogue, some of the way things are shot, which are both like very studio, but also studio age Hollywood, but also cutting edge, where we're like going through walls and things like that. Camera's like tracking as the characters are walking down hallways and things like that. That's really interesting. But it's starting to show what movies can be. It's this fun stepping stone between like your pretty normal gangster film of the 40s and 50s to where things are heading. I think that's neat.
Yeah, it is. I think this to me signals that I would be a bigger fan of Kubrick's early work as opposed to his later stuff. So I think as long as Kubrick's black and white, I'd probably watch it. Once we get into color, I have
I think
effectively no
Paths of
interest.
Glory is a more boring film, if I remember. I think there's like the first half's really interesting, and then it's like in court or something. I might have to rewatch it to
Hmm.
see if we should talk about it on the show or not, because I don't really remember it. I remember parts of it are in the way that this has like filmmaking elements where you're like, oh, that's really interesting. I like what they're doing there. Paths of Glory has, I think, more of that.
Mm.
It's Hollywood's figuring itself out more like wide angle tracking with people, really kind of neat stuff. But I don't really remember a whole lot. It's been a while since I saw it, probably like 5 years. So yeah,
So we want to get to
that's
ratings?
I think so. So did you? It sounds an awful like you liked this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to go wrong with an older movie. Again, pre 1960. Like you said, worst case scenario, they're boring, which is the worst sin a movie can commit is to be boring. So there are plenty of just boring, dumb old movies, but this one I think is thoroughly steeped in the Hollywood tradition, enough so that it is entertaining and it's more energetic than a lot of films in its category at this time.
Yeah, and this
And
movie
it's,
keeps that
oh
pace,
yeah,
right? I'm cutting you off, but it is like the setup's a bit much, but then once you're in it, this movie just keeps rolling. There's kind
yeah.
of then not a wasted
The whole
scene.
hour till the end, you're about as invested in an older movie as you can be. Um, in any movie, really. I'm not even going to qualify it with old. Like you're about as invested in a movie as you can be. It does its job really well. I wouldn't say this movie for me is a classic in the sense of a lot of other, 40s classics, 30s classics. I'd say it's definitely of the movies that came out in the 50s, which the 50s was a notoriously kind of sparse, bleak, and strange decade when it came to cinema, because the old Hollywood was starting to kind of fade. The Hays Code was rejected. New Hollywood hadn't quite found its footing yet. There was this weird Beat Generation thing happening. You had exploitation cinema starting to ramp up in the drive-in movies. The atomic age was starting to be this new thing. So you have all these things that are piling on top of movies. And the 50s was just a real weird time where we had anamorphic lenses and we were trying to do stuff to compete with television, but a lot of films were still like half the studio output was still black and white. So it was just a really weird time where it felt like Hollywood didn't quite know what it was doing. The musical was thoroughly dead, and movies were getting edgier, but they didn't quite know what to do with it yet. And so this movie, for a 50s movie, is definitely one of the good ones. It's on the top tier, or at least within the top 20 of the better 50s movies. So rating wise, I'd give it like a 6.5, 6.7, something like that. It's good.
Yeah.
What about
I
you?
think I think I'd give this movie I think when we talk about older films, we grade them on a bit of a curve, and that's what you're talking about
Yeah.
as well. I think I'd give this movie like a 7
Mhm.
just because of when it is and what it did. It's not I pretty much agree with everything you're saying, which is really funny because at the end of the day, we both like this movie, but we'll even talk about movies where we don't really like them, but we'll end up saying the same thing just in like a
Right.
slightly different tone,
Mhm.
and then we land similarly in our ratings. Um,
This isn't
but
groundbreaking. It
no,
set a lot of things up, but it's not groundbreaking like Citizen Kane or something else that did
and
something really crazy.
I'd say it definitely earns, and I'm not nitpicking with what you said, but like cult classic,
Oh, for
it's
sure.
it's this movie should have a larger following than it
Mhm.
does. I mean, if more modern folk appreciated old movies, I think this
Yeah.
movie would have a bigger following than it does. And maybe if that ever becomes in vogue again, this movie will have a bigger following.
Mhm.
Um, I really enjoy it for everything we've said, and I just think it's got a lot there from its story, its characters, its structure, even. Um, even down to the ending, which is this kind of like, well, darn it
Yeah.
moment. It's
That
this
would be
big build
that
up
would be what it
to
is.
like,
Well, darn
well,
it.
yeah, on shoot, uh, which I think is neat. I mean, like you said, it could probably do with a little bit more at the end, but it doesn't need to. I mean, this is based something we haven't mentioned yet is it's based on a novel.
Yeah.
And I'd be really interested to see how that novel ends. I know some things are like fairly lifted from the novel, including dialogue, but the structure is a Kubrick edition.
Right.
I know that much. So,
one thing that I want to point out there before you get to your rating, and I just thought this was
I
a
already
funny
set
thing.
my rating.
Well, you gave it a 7, but you were wrapping
Yeah.
up your
Yeah.
whole thing of why that was. So before you put the cherry on top there, I read a review of this last night, and somebody said that if the Coen brothers were alive in the 50s, this is the kind of movie they'd be making. And I think that's close. It's not 100%, but it's very close. There definitely are things there that feel like that. So
Yeah,
that's just a
there's
fun
not as
movie.
much depth to your characters as
No.
you'd expect from like a classic now or then, you know? Um, and so it's nowhere near like an 8 or anything, right? It's not, and it's also not, I'll get ahead of the curve. It's not like a in my heart category film, but it's super good. Like for a film that came out in 1956 and for a movie period, it's super cool. Like I think it's got some age on it, but beyond that, I think it's pretty darn good. That's why I'll rate it a 7 kind of on. And I'm not a Kubrick fanboy, but I think what he does in the box that he was playing with in this film is incredible. And like, I mean, if you nixed that narration, maybe even better. Which you kind of, who knows? Who even knows? So,
well, that's good talk. Good talk.
that
I
was
think we got it all figured out.
I didn't know what to expect with this episode because I've gotten a good feel for what you like, but this is so far out of what we've talked in some ways, what we've talked about.
In other ways, it's exactly the kind of stuff we've talked about. It's noir, it's crime, and it's, so.
And you're like you said, it is kind of Coen Brothers-y. I would love to see this story remade by the right people.
I'd like to see something like this. I mean, yeah, the problem is at this point there have been so many heist movies where I feel like now these beats are fairly well stepped on. So I don't know if it would really land the same.
The beats are all squashed.
Yeah, the beats are squashed, but the beat goes on, and that's really what we're here for. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the beat going on, please send a like, send a subscribe, send a box of flowers that is not actually flowers, but is in fact a Tommy gun to gmail.com. No, wait, that's not our. What is our?
I actually was like, yeah. Only problem with Santino at gmail.com.
That's right. An even longer email, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think like literally the longest you could have.
Yeah. Those
Imagine the show goes on by Loopy Fiasco's playing right now.
Yes.
I don't know. And that's how that's the send off for the show. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the show, send it to a friend and feel free to recommend us movies. We're kind of at the stage in this podcast where we kind of I'm kind of starting to.
Yeah, I was going to say, Andy's running out of movies that he's seen that I haven't. I've still got pages on him.
Where we'll have episodes like this where it's actually like fun and positive as opposed to like, I don't like that they're just joking all the time and there's no substance to it.
Santino and fun do not go together.
Charts around here somewhere.
Yep.
But yeah, that's been the show. Thank you so much for listening.
I can't. Here we go.